channel. Welcome back to this weekly spark of knowledge. This spark of knowledge that is powered by the StatuMentis Academy. So if you're interested in peak performance, putting yourself in the best position to peak perform, or if you're a trainer and a coach and you want to put your players, your athletes, your team continuously in the best position to peak perform, it's really worthwhile to take a look in our academy. You can find it on the website StatuMentis.com, and in our academy from Monday, July 13th, we got our first 2 e-courses published on there, and they're ready to be purchased. The first e-course is everything about mental toughness, and the second one is called Introduction to Peak Performance. So take a look there. It's a lot of knowledge, really kind of like translated, so you can use all that knowledge directly in your day-to-day practice. I'm very excited about it, so go to the academy, check it out. But having all that said, I think it's time to jump right into today's topic. And today I want to talk about coaches' do's and don'ts when it comes to training mental toughness. And I'm very passionate about this topic because these kind of like mistake, we are talking about peak performance, and peak performance is all about creating the setting for your players, for your team to be able to peak perform. And in my day-to-day practice, I see now and then some things that could be better. So I thought let's talk about that a little bit. We already in the previous Sparks of Knowledge talked a little bit about mental toughness, how you can train mental toughness. We've been talking about the 4C model of mental toughness, which I will include again in this Spark of Knowledge. So just a little refresher that you know what the 4C model of mental toughness is. So here we go. So that's the 4C of mental toughness. So you see confidence, challenge, commitment, and control. And if you train those concepts, you are training mental toughness. So in these areas, in the training of those 4Cs, I see some mistakes that are kind of like general. I see kind of the same mistakes returning over and over again. So I think it's worthwhile to talk about the don'ts, but even more important, talk about the do's, so we can do it right and we can really create that peak performance setting by training mentally tough players. So the first don't that I see happening a lot is when it comes to commitment. And commitment is all about, being committed to your why, being passionate about the goal. Really have that commitment to focus all your attention on the tasks that bring you closer to your goal. And when it comes to commitment don'ts that I see happening a lot is that there's disrespect for the jersey. So let's say, people toss their jersey aside, or it just doesn't look good. They're just not neat in their kind of like the thing that they're wearing. So just disrespect. And the power of the jersey can be so important when it comes to commitment. If you learn about the history of the clubs, if you learn about the morals, the values, the blood, sweat and tears that have run through the club by the supporters, by the whole organization to get where they are today. That's so important that there's that respect for that jersey. So whenever you put it on, you're committed to give it your best. You're willing to shove the rest to the side and really give it your best. So just being respectful, to the colors, to the jersey that you're wearing, really have that sense of importancy when it comes to giving it your best. It all starts there. So that's the first point. It's very important for commitment. Second point, I already touched it a little bit when it comes to commitment. It's very important to know your why. So when kind of like you notice as a trainer that a player is just not as committed, instead of, kind of try to push them more, or try to be harder on them, or try to get all these forms of negative reinforcement, just ask a player about the why, because usually a lack of commitment is very much linked to vague goals, not really knowing why you're doing the things that you want to do, that vagueness. So create a clear goal instead of using a lot of negative talk, because you see that will create a lack of confidence. So really try to clear the cause instead of being, creating a negative environment by trying to push somebody harder and harder, because, at the end of the day, that will only cost commitment. So that's about the C of commitment. When it comes to challenge, the C of challenge, it's very important that when we face a demand, when it comes to training mental toughness, that we see that demand, that we see that obstacle as a challenge and not as a threat. What I see going wrong multiple times when it comes to, trainers coaching, trying to create mental toughness, setting the stage for peak performance, is that they're coaching from that point of threat. Which I mean, when you are being challenged, there's room to make mistakes, there's room to grow. Only then you can be challenged, because the challenge is that you're getting better and better each time you fail. You tweak your response, you get a better output. So when as a coach, whenever somebody makes a mistake or tries something new, try to take initiative, try to push forward, and maybe make a pass that's not execution-wise really good, but the plan was really good. You blow your whistle directly and say, hey, that was a mistake. Or, hey, you have to do it like this and that. You highlight that mistake and you create already that sense of fear of failure with your player, while his way of thinking, the execution was not good, but the plan, the courage, the sense of responsibility was very much there. So really try to focus on setting that stage of psychological safety, that people can be challenged. It's okay to make mistakes. Let them figure it out. Let them tweak their input, get a better output, and really praise their courage. I think that's the most important thing. The execution might fail, but the courage, the ability to take responsibility, you really have to praise that instead of only highlighting the negative. If you really want to have that layer of perception, come from that angle of being challenged. And the same goes with confidence. Confidence, the C of confidence, is all about building confidence by taking the right actions, being a good problem solver. Confidence is all knowing that, no matter what changes in my environment, no matter what problems, obstacles I will face during this match, because you can train scenarios, but it's never the way that you envisioned it. Always new things will pop up. But if you know that you got problem solving skills, you know that you will find a solution, you can be confident. It's a very active something. So it's very important in that sense also, as a trainer and coach, that you give your players the freedom and time to learn to problem solve. Give them a general goal instead of being a very direct and active coach and saying like, hey, you have to do it like this and that, and be very detailed in your coaching. Just say, hey, go from A to B, but how you get there, figure it out. Problem solve your way to the end. Think back about the army that really trained confidence by giving their soldiers the freedom to maneuver. You get a general task, go from A to B. How you get there, it's all you. By that, seeing what works, what doesn't work, tweak your approach. That's really how you build confidence. And then you got the C of control. With control, I see a lot of coaches and trainers like to create the perfect training circumstancing, the perfect training environment. But we have to be honest, when it comes to competition, there's no such thing as smooth sailing. There are a lot of distractors. We got the crowd, we got, the opponent that gives a lot of resistance. It can be 100 other things that really, are distractors. So if you train a lot without distractions, without stressors, obviously there's very little adaptability. There's very little skill to deal with those distractions for your players. So you really sometimes have to train as how competition will be. So with a lot of resistance, with a lot of discomfort, with a lot of distractions, because that is something that you will encounter in competition too. So if you want your players to have that C of control over their attention, over their focus, obviously you have to expose them to those distractions in training so they learn really how to control their focus on their task at hand. It's something that you need to train, and sometimes we're too much aiming for having that good feeling and setting the right setting for our players, so they not really learn how to deal with that resistance. I really enjoyed making this spark of knowledge. If you have any questions, leave your questions in the comments down below. I'm looking forward to talk to you next week in my next spark of knowledge. Please all stay safe.